The quantum resonance chamber of the Zarkon Collective's reconnaissance vessel hummed with a soft, rhythmic pulse that usually signaled absolute technological control. Today, that comforting hum would become a discordant symphony of confusion and mounting dread. Captain Narration adjusted the crystalline neural interface that connected her consciousness to the ship's scanning systems. Her 4 eyes, 2 primary and 2 supplementary, blinked in rapid succession, a biological tell of her growing unease. The human vessel had appeared on their long-range sensors 37 standard minutes ago, drifting through the sparse region of the Omega Quadrant like a solitary predator. "Initiate standard comprehensive scan," she commanded, her voice a melodic blend of clicks and harmonic undertones that translated perfectly through the ship's communication matrix. Senior Technician Krell's appendages moved with practiced efficiency across the holographic control surface. Zarkon scanning technology was the pinnacle of galactic intelligence gathering, a system developed over millennia of technological refinement. Their sensors could map the internal molecular structure of a planet from 3 light-years away, could detect the subtle quantum variations in a living being's cellular structure, and could penetrate the most advanced shielding known to any sentient civilization. But something was wrong. The first indication came as a subtle flicker in the quantum resonance display. Where there should have been crystal-clear schematics of the human vessel's internal structure, there was only a shifting mercurial landscape of impossible geometries. Krell's secondary visual organs dilated in shock. "Recalibrating," he muttered, more to himself than to the bridge crew. His tentacles danced across the interface, adjusting parameters, reconfiguring scanning algorithms that had never failed before. Nothing. The human vessel, a sleek, seemingly unremarkable military corvette with clean lines and a utilitarian design, continued its steady drift. No evasive maneuvers, no active countermeasures, just existence. "Run a diagnostic on our primary scanning array," Captain Narration ordered, her tone betraying a hint of the anxiety building within her. Junior Technician Vex ran the diagnostic. Every system checked out perfectly. Quantum entanglement arrays, functioning at 97% efficiency. Multispectral analysis matrices, optimal. Nano-resolution imaging systems, pristine. The ship itself seemed to mock them. Its hull was a matte gray, with minimal external features, no obvious weapon signatures, no remarkable energy emissions, just a human vessel that refused to be understood. "Attempt direct quantum resonance mapping," Narration commanded, her voice now sharp with frustration. Krell complied, engaging the most invasive scanning protocol in their technological arsenal. This was a technique that could map the quantum state of matter at the most fundamental level, revealing not just physical structure, but potential configurations, energy states, and even probabilistic future states of a target. The result was madness. The holographic display erupted in a chaotic dance of impossible data. One moment, the scan suggested the vessel contained massive weapon systems that could obliterate entire planetary networks. The next moment, those same systems dissolved into what appeared to be crew recreation areas. Quantum probability waves collapsed and reformed with dizzying speed, creating a technological mirage that defied all rational understanding. "This is impossible," Krell whispered, his professional composure crumbling. The bridge fell into a tense silence. Junior technicians exchanged worried glances. Senior officers stared at the incomprehensible display, their collective technological confidence evaporating like mist under a harsh sun. Captain Narration leaned forward, her 4 eyes fixed on the human vessel. Something fundamental had changed. This was more than a scanning anomaly. This was a deliberate challenge to everything the Zarkon Collective understood about technological superiority. The human vessel continued its steady drift, utterly indifferent to the technological storm it had just unleashed. The Zarkon Central Intelligence Laboratory occupied an entire orbital station, a massive crystalline structure that pulsed with an internal bioluminescence reflecting the collective intellectual might of 3 advanced civilizations. Here, the most remarkable minds of the collective converged to unravel the mystery of the human vessel's impossible scanning profile. Dr. Lyra stood at the center of a holographic reconstruction, her crystalline body refracting light in complex patterns that matched her racing thoughts. As the lead quantum physicist from the Eridani Research Consortium, she had built her career on pushing the boundaries of technological understanding. But this was something entirely different. Run simulation 07 Delta again. She instructed the primary AI system, her voice a melodic resonance that vibrated through the laboratory's quantum-sensitive interfaces. The holographic display erupted into a complex, three-dimensional representation of the human vessel's scanning data. What should have been a straightforward technological analysis looked more like a living, breathing mathematical nightmare. Probability waves danced and collapsed. Quantum states flickered in and out of existence. The very fabric of technological understanding seemed to bend and twist around this single human vessel. Senior researcher Krasin, a methane-breathing analyst from the Nix Confederacy, approached the display with visible trepidation. His environmental suit hummed softly, filtering the oxygen-rich atmosphere of the research station. "These readings defy every known principle of quantum mechanics," he muttered, his translation implant converting his complex respiratory language into standard galactic communication. "It's as if the vessel exists in multiple quantum states simultaneously, but that's theoretically impossible." Dr. Lyra's crystalline form shifted, the equivalent of a sardonic smile, in her species' body language. "Impossible is a word humans seem to enjoy challenging," she responded. The research team had been working for cycles, a period equivalent to several standard human weeks. They had dismantled and reconstructed their scanning algorithms countless times. They had consulted the most advanced AI systems. They had brought in specialists from disciplines ranging from quantum mechanics to psychological warfare analysis. Nothing made sense. The human vessel's scanning profile was a living, adaptive system. Where traditional scanning technologies mapped fixed structures, this vessel generated a constantly shifting quantum landscape. One moment, a section would read as a weapon system of unprecedented destructive capability. The next, that same space would register as a crew recreation area. Energy signatures fluctuated with no discernible pattern. Material composition changed at the quantum level faster than any known technology could manipulate. "Look at this," Dr. Lyra called out, projecting a specific segment of the scan. The holographic display zoomed into a microscopic section of the vessel's hull. What should have been a simple molecular structure became a complex dance of probability. Quantum entanglement points emerged and dissolved. Material properties shifted between states, solid, liquid, and something entirely undefined. Researcher Vex, the youngest member of the team, leaned closer. "It's almost like the ship is thinking," she whispered. The statement hung in the air, more profound than she had intended. The senior researchers exchanged glances. The implication was staggering. A vessel that wasn't just a technological construct, but something closer to a living, adaptive organism. "Not thinking," Dr. Lyra corrected, her voice suddenly soft with a mixture of fear and profound respect. "Anticipating." The quantum display continued its impossible dance, a visual representation of technological uncertainty that threatened to break the collective understanding of every species in the research team. The human vessel had done more than resist scanning. It had turned the very act of technological observation into a weapon of psychological warfare. And they were only beginning to understand its true nature. The archive of interstellar incidents was not a place for the faint of heart. Located on the neutral diplomatic station Nexus Prime, it was a repository of the galaxy's most perplexing technological and diplomatic encounters. Here, behind layers of quantum-encrypted security and reality-dampening field generators, the most classified reports from countless civilizations were stored. Archivist Zorak moved with practiced efficiency, her multiple sensory tendrils interfacing directly with the holographic data retrieval system. Her task was seemingly simple: compile all known encounters with human military vessels that demonstrated unusual scanning resistance. What she discovered was anything but simple. The first file she pulled was from the Silicon Consensus, a machine civilization that prided itself on absolute technological precision. Their report was a masterpiece of carefully documented confusion. During a routine border patrol, they had encountered a human vessel that defied every known principle of technological observation. Scanning attempts resulted in mathematical impossibilities. The report read, "Our most advanced quantum analysis systems returned datasets that violated fundamental principles of computational logic. Probability matrices collapsed. Quantum states became unpredictable." Xeroc's secondary processing organ pulsed with a mixture of professional curiosity and mounting anxiety. The Hydron Confederacy's report was even more disturbing. Their lead technologist, senior analyst Krelax, had documented an encounter that bordered on the mythological. The human vessel they'd encountered appeared to exist in multiple spatial configurations simultaneously. Scan results showed internal layouts that violated the basic understanding of spatial geometry. The vessel's internal structure, Krelax had written, seemed to exist in a state of quantum superposition. Rooms that should have been physically impossible coexisted. Weapon systems appeared and disappeared across multiple potential dimensional states. Captain Rasmul's personal testimony added another layer of complexity. A veteran of countless interstellar conflicts, he recounted an encounter 15 standard cycles ago that had become something of a legend among military strategists. "We thought we could map their vessel's internal structure," his recorded statement began, his voice a low, haunting growl that seemed to carry the weight of technological trauma. "Instead, our scanners returned blueprints of impossible geometries, ship layouts that violated every known principle of spatial engineering." The Quantum Diplomatic Court had an entire classified section dedicated to human technological anomalies. Reports spoke of vessels that seemed to adapt in real time to scanning attempts. Each subsequent scan would return different results, as if the ship was actively learning, evolving its defensive capabilities with each technological probing. One particularly chilling report came from the telepathic consensus of Area Prime. Their biotechnological scanning methods relied on quantum-entangled consciousness interfaces. When they attempted to scan a human vessel, something unprecedented happened. The scanning consciousness was met not with data, but with a form of technological counterintelligence that was almost sentient. Telepathic probes were met with complex mathematical constructs, probability waves that seemed designed to confuse and misdirect. It was as if the vessel itself was engaging in a form of technological psychological warfare. Xeroc compiled the reports, her multiple sensory tendrils moving with increasing rapidity. A pattern was emerging, a disturbing, complex pattern that challenged everything known about technological observation. Humans were not just resisting scanning. They were turning the very act of technological observation into a weapon. The final report she accessed was the most recent, the encounter that had brought the Zarkon Collective to this moment of technological crisis. As the holographic display consolidated the information, one thing became terrifyingly clear. This was more than a technological anomaly. This was a deliberate, systematic approach to interstellar conflict that defied conventional understanding. The humans had weaponized uncertainty itself. The Xenopsychological Warfare Institute occupied a massive orbital complex that orbited the diplomatic hub of Concordia Station. Here, the most brilliant minds from across the galaxy studied the intricate art of psychological manipulation in interstellar conflict. Intelligence analyst Soren stood before a holographic display that chronicled humanity's most enigmatic technological approaches. Her presentation was about to challenge everything the collective understood about strategic confrontation. "Humans," she began, her voice cutting through the ambient hum of the conference chamber, "have transformed uncertainty into a weapon more potent than any physical armament." The chamber fell silent. Representatives from 17 different species leaned forward, their various sensory organs focusing intently on the presentation. The holographic display erupted with a complex montage of human vessel encounters. Each image told a story of technological misdirection that went far beyond simple defensive capabilities. These were not just ships. They were living psychological weapons. Consider this encounter with the Nexus Armada. Soren continued, highlighting a specific report. A human vessel, significantly smaller and seemingly less advanced, had encountered a massive alien battle group. Traditional military analysis would suggest immediate destruction. Instead, the human vessel had done something entirely unexpected. It began to generate multiple simultaneous quantum signatures. One moment, it appeared as a massive battleship with unprecedented weapon capabilities. The next, it registered as a small research vessel. Quantum scanning attempts returned results that defied logical interpretation. Weapon systems that existed in probabilistic states, defensive capabilities that seemed to shift between reality and possibility. The Nexus Armada had hesitated, and in that moment of hesitation, the human vessel had escaped. This is the true weapon, Soren emphasized, her neural implants projecting complex psychological analysis algorithms. Not the ship's physical capabilities, but its ability to generate pure, paralyzing uncertainty. A representative from the Silicon Consensus raised a quantum interfaced appendage. Explain the psychological mechanism, it requested, its voice a perfect digital monotone. Soren's display shifted, showing complex neurological and cognitive mapping. Imagine facing an enemy whose very existence defies your understanding of technology, warfare, and reality. Traditional military strategy relies on predictability. Humans have weaponized unpredictability. The psychological profile was devastating. Each scanning attempt that failed wasn't just a technological inconvenience. It was a deliberate assault on the fundamental psychological security of potential adversaries. Alien species relied on technological superiority as a form of psychological comfort. Humans had found a way to strip away that comfort with mathematical precision. They don't just block scanning, one synapsychologist muttered. They make scanning an experience of technological terror. The evidence was compelling. Multiple reports showed similar patterns. Alien vessels would encounter human ships and become paralyzed by uncertainty. Scanning attempts that returned impossible data. Communication channels that seemed to exist in multiple potential states. Technological interfaces that responded with complex mathematical constructs designed purely to confuse. It wasn't just defense. It was a form of cognitive warfare that targeted the most fundamental psychological vulnerabilities of technologically advanced civilizations. They turned observation itself into a weapon. Soren concluded, her final slide showing the chilling compilation of alien military reports. By the time a potential adversary understands what they're facing, the opportunity for conflict has already passed. The conference chamber sat in stunned silence. What they were witnessing was more than a technological approach to warfare. It was a fundamental reimagining of strategic conflict. Humans had discovered something profound. In the vast, complex universe of interstellar politics, the most powerful weapon was not a gun, a shield, or an energy weapon. It was doubt. The Quantum Resonance Laboratory was a marvel of technological achievement. Suspended in the gravitational null point between three massive neutron stars, it represented the pinnacle of scientific investigation for the Zarkon Collective. Here, reality itself was malleable, a playground for the most advanced scientific minds in the known galaxy. Dr. Elena Voss watched from the observation deck, her human eyes a stark contrast to the alien researchers surrounding her. She was here as an observer, a diplomatic courtesy that felt more like a calculated move in an intricate game of technological chess. Lead researcher Dr. Lyra approached the primary quantum entanglement array, her crystalline body refracting the laboratory's intense illumination. Months of intensive research had culminated in this moment, their most advanced attempt to penetrate the mysterious human vessel's scanning defenses. Initiating quantum resonance penetration protocol, she announced, her voice a melodic series of harmonic frequencies that cascaded through the laboratory's advanced communication systems. The team had developed a scanning method that pushed the boundaries of known quantum mechanics. It was a multi-layered approach that combined quantum entanglement, probabilistic mapping, and advanced AI prediction algorithms. If any technology could unlock the secrets of the human vessel, this would be it. The initial scan began. Holographic displays erupted into a complex dance of probability waves and quantum states, where previous attempts had resulted in complete failure. This approach showed promise. Fragments of data began to coalesce, tantalizingly close to revealing the vessel's true nature. Then everything went sideways. One moment, the scan suggested a massive weapon system capable of obliterating entire planetary networks. The next, those same systems dissolved into what appeared to be crew recreation areas. Quantum probability waves collapsed and reformed with dizzying speed, creating a technological mirage that defied all rational understanding. "Impossible," muttered Senior Technician Krell, his multiple appendages moving frantically across quantum interface controls. Dr. Elena Voss allowed herself the slightest smile. It was a micro-expression that went unnoticed by the alien researchers, but carried the weight of profound technological understanding. The scanning array began to generate increasingly wild results. A section that moments ago had registered as a weapon system now appeared to be a hydroponics bay. Energy signatures fluctuated between potential states, simultaneously weapon, life support, and something entirely undefined. The very act of observation seemed to be changing the vessel's fundamental nature. "It's adaptive," Dr. Lyra whispered, her crystalline form vibrating with a mixture of scientific excitement and growing fear. "The vessel isn't just resisting scanning. It's responding to the scanning process itself." Krell's analysis confirmed her observation. Each layer of their advanced scanning protocol was being met with a corresponding layer of technological counterintelligence. It was as if the vessel was learning, evolving its defensive capabilities in real time. The final breakthrough was both everything and nothing. They had discovered that they could discover nothing definitive. The human vessel existed in a state of quantum superposition so complex that traditional technological observation became meaningless. Multiple potential configurations coexisted. Weapon systems, crew quarters, propulsion mechanisms, all existed simultaneously in a state of probabilistic flux. "We're not scanning a ship," Dr. Lyra realized, her voice barely a whisper. "We're scanning a living technological organism." Dr. Elena Voss simply nodded, her smile growing almost imperceptibly. The laboratory fell silent. The most advanced scientific minds in the galaxy had just confirmed their most fundamental fear. They understood nothing. The Concordia diplomatic nexus stood as a testament to galactic cooperation, a massive space station constructed from the combined technological achievements of 17 different species. Its central negotiation chamber was designed to accommodate the wildly different physiological and atmospheric requirements of interstellar diplomats. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez entered the chamber with a calculated grace that immediately drew every alien eye. She was human, a singular representative of a species that had become increasingly enigmatic to the galactic community. Her dark blue diplomatic uniform bore no medals, no ornate decorations. Its simplicity was its own statement of power. The Zarkan delegation sat to her left, a collection of beings representing 3 different subspecies of their collective. Ambassador Narazik, their lead negotiator, had 4 eyes that seemed to look in entirely different directions simultaneously. Her tentacular appendages moved with a mixture of diplomatic precision and barely contained anxiety. "We appreciate the opportunity for technological dialogue," Elena began, her voice smooth and perfectly translated across multiple communication spectrums. The diplomatic protocol was complex. What should have been a straightforward discussion about the scanning incident had become a multilayered negotiation that transcended traditional diplomatic engagement. The Silicon Consensus Representative, a quantum interfaced entity that existed as much in digital space as physical, initiated the first probe. "Your vessel demonstrated significant technological anomalies during our recent encounter," it stated, its voice a perfect digital monotone. Elena's smile was precisely calibrated. "Anomalies are a matter of perspective," she responded, each word loaded with layers of potential meaning. The diplomatic dance was intricate. The alien representatives were seeking information, specific details about the vessel's scanning resistance, its technological capabilities. Alina provided responses that were simultaneously comprehensive and utterly meaningless. Each statement was a masterpiece of diplomatic ambiguity. "Our vessels are designed for multiple operational parameters," she explained, her tone suggesting both complete transparency and absolute mystery. Ambassador Narazik's tentacles writhed in what would, for her species, be a clear sign of frustration. The humans were offering a technological exchange, yet providing absolutely no meaningful information. It was cooperation defined by its fundamental lack of substantive content. The Hydran Confederacy's lead diplomat leaned forward. "We seek to understand the fundamental principles behind your vessel's scanning resistance," he pressed, his respiratory translation device creating a soft hissing undertone to his words. Alina's response was a masterclass in diplomatic communication. "Understanding," she said, "is a collaborative process." It was nothing. It was everything. The diplomatic records would later note that this meeting represented a new paradigm of interstellar communication. The humans were not refusing to share information. They were presenting information in a way that was simultaneously complete and incomprehensible. Each alien delegation left the negotiation chamber with volumes of recorded dialogue, hours of translated communication, and absolutely no new understanding of human technological capabilities. The diplomatic report would read like a mathematical paradox, hundreds of pages of dialogue that revealed nothing and everything simultaneously. As the delegations dispersed, Ambassador Elena Rodriguez allowed herself the slightest smile. The vessel's true capabilities remained exactly where they needed to be, beyond definitive understanding. The humans had transformed diplomacy itself into a form of strategic defense. The quantum-encrypted data packet arrived through channels so secure they barely existed in conventional communication space. It was a classified report that would shake the foundations of galactic technological understanding. A comprehensive breakdown of human vessel scanning resistance that was never meant to be seen. Dr. Aria Chen sat in the most secure laboratory of the Earth Advanced Research Division, her fingers trembling almost imperceptibly as she initiated the decryption sequence. Around her, holographic displays hummed with layers of security protocols that made most alien encryption look like children's puzzles. The report's header was innocuous. Adaptive Quantum Interference Mitigation Protocol. Classified Level Omega-9. What unfolded was nothing short of a technological revolution. Humans had not simply developed a method of resisting scanning. They had fundamentally reimagined the very concept of technological observation. The core of the technology was a system they called Quantum Uncertainty Engine, a computational approach that went beyond traditional shielding or jamming technologies. This was a living, adaptive system that existed at the fundamental quantum level of technological interaction. Traditional scanning technologies operated on a simple principle: observe, map, understand. The human system did something entirely different. It generated multiple potential quantum states simultaneously, creating a technological mirage that was both everywhere and nowhere. Scanning a human vessel, the report explained, is like trying to photograph a cloud, while the cloud is actively changing its shape, composition, and location in response to the act of being photographed. The technical specifications were mind-bending. Quantum entanglement generators created a field around the vessel that existed in a state of probabilistic flux. Energy signatures, material compositions, internal layouts, all became dynamic, constantly shifting parameters that defied traditional understanding. But it went deeper. The Quantum Uncertainty Engine was not just a passive defensive system. It was an active, learning technology that analyzed each scanning attempt and generated increasingly complex counter-signatures. Each time an alien civilization attempted to scan a human vessel, the vessel would learn, adapt, and generate more sophisticated interference patterns. Dr. Chen's secondary display showed the computational complexity. The system wasn't just blocking scans. It was generating entire libraries of potential quantum states that could be instantaneously projected, A weapon system could exist in 10,347 simultaneous potential configurations, each mathematically consistent but fundamentally unresolvable. The most chilling section detailed the psychological warfare aspects. The technology was designed not just to prevent scanning, but to generate a specific psychological response in potential adversaries. Each failed scan would incrementally increase technological uncertainty, creating a form of information-based intimidation. The goal, one section noted, is not to hide. The goal is to make the act of hiding irrelevant. Buried in the technical documentation was a seemingly innocuous note that spoke volumes. It was attributed to Dr. Marcus Rodriguez, the lead developer of the Quantum Uncertainty Engine. "We are not developing a defensive technology. We are developing a new language of technological communication." The implications were staggering. Humans had transformed scanning resistance from a technical challenge into a form of strategic communication. Each failed scan was a message. Each moment of technological uncertainty was a negotiation. As the final layers of the report decrypted, Dr. Chen realized something profound. This was more than a technological breakthrough. This was a fundamental reimagining of interstellar conflict. The humans had weaponized uncertainty itself. The Galactic Council chambers fell silent as the comprehensive report on human technological capabilities was presented. Representatives from 17 different civilizations sat in stunned contemplation, the weight of a new understanding settling over them like a quantum fog. Ambassador Krolax of the Hybrim Confederacy was the first to break the silence. "We are not dealing with a species," he stated, his translation implant conveying a mixture of respect and barely contained anxiety. "We are dealing with a fundamental reimagining of technological interaction." The report chronicled more than just a technological anomaly. It was a complete paradigm shift in how interstellar conflict and communication could be understood. Human vessels had become more than military assets. They were living proof of a technological philosophy that defied conventional understanding. Each encounter was a message. Each moment of technological uncertainty was a negotiation. The humans had transformed the very act of being observed into a strategic advantage. The Silicon Consensus Representative, a quantum interfaced entity that existed simultaneously in digital and physical spaces, processed the information with mathematical precision. Their approach, it concluded, represents a zero-sum game where the act of attempting to understand becomes the primary method of defense. Historical records began to tell a different story. What had previously been seen as isolated incidents now formed a coherent pattern. Human vessels had consistently turned technological observation into a form of psychological warfare. Each scanning attempt that failed was not just a defensive maneuver. It was a carefully calculated strategic communication. Dr. Lyra, the lead researcher who had first investigated the scanning anomalies, presented her final analysis. "Humans have weaponized uncertainty," she explained. "But more importantly, they've transformed uncertainty into a language of diplomatic and technological communication." The implications were profound. Traditional interstellar conflict relied on predictability, on the ability to map, understand, and consequently control. Humans had created a technological approach that made such traditional strategies obsolete. Reports began to circulate through diplomatic channels. When encountering a human vessel, do not attempt comprehensive scanning. Assume multiple potential technological configurations. Recognize that the act of observation is itself a form of communication. Understand that technological uncertainty is the message. The Zarkon Collective's final assessment was both a warning and a grudging acknowledgement of human brilliance. Humanity had discovered something fundamental about the nature of technological interaction, that the most powerful weapon is not a gun, a shield, or an energy projection. The most powerful weapon is doubt. As galactic civilizations began to adapt to this new understanding, human diplomatic missions continued their careful dance of revealment and concealment. Each interaction was a carefully choreographed performance of technological mystique. Ambassador Elena Rodriguez, during a subsequent diplomatic session, captured the essence of their approach in a single statement that would be quoted across multiple civilizations. Understanding is a collaborative process. Sometimes, the most profound communication happens in the space between what is known and unknown. The humans had not just developed a technological defense mechanism. They had created an entirely new language of interstellar communication, one where the absence of clear information was itself a powerful form of information. In the vast, complex universe of interstellar politics, humanity had discovered a truth both simple and profound. True power lies not in revealing everything, but in masterfully controlling what remains hidden. The age of technological certainty was over. The age of human uncertainty had begun.